Savior of Logic. We've been debating back and forth in the comments section on a video from Freethinker3161 about property tax is extortion. And I guess I'm just hitting the limit where 500 characters just don't cut it anymore. So I'm going to have to make you a video response in order to get my thought out. You know, in your last response to me, you were talking about how in a free market of law, you know, legal disputes between neighbors could be resolved quicker, and it probably wouldn't even need to go to court to begin with. Now this, I don't quite understand how that would be the case. Now, I'll just take my case here for example. Like, my neighbor and I, we had a dispute over a property line. She had a survey saying that the fence should be here, and the survey that I got when I bought the house said the fence should be where it is. Now, we tried to resolve things without the need of legal recourse, but very, very quickly, that got nowhere fast, and then we had to get bylaw enforcement people in. We had to get people flying over in a plane, taking photos and measuring lines and things like that. And so it took the intervention of a government body in order to settle this dispute, because if it was just up between us, I would have never been happy with what she wanted, and she would have never been happy with what I wanted. We needed third-party binding arbitration, and I don't see how you can get that other than from a public government official, because if we tried to go to a private company that did binding arbitration, how much could I trust a private company if I don't know, like I don't know, like where this company came from, like did she used to work for this company years ago? Is her son working for the company or something like that? See, like, I don't know. And in a private industry, they have the right to privacy, so I can't just barge in there and demand to know the names of everyone who works there and all of their connections. Whereas for a public government, you know, they have strict rules in place against that. Like, if the bylaw enforcement officer turned out to be my best friend, there's probably a rule in place that would cause that person to not be able to review our case, and we'd have to go somebody who was totally neutral in the matter. And so, without an intervening government body to settle disputes like that, like, it would have ended up where, like, if I would have had to take her to small claims court, and then we'd have to go through court for that, and, you know, like, it would have just been a non-stop, endless battle without that third party stepping in. So I don't see how, in a free market of law, it would be resolved quicker. Like, I'm just not quite sure how I see that. And then you also go on to say that I mentioned that, you know, if we were to take everything for a private, wouldn't it be a boon for lawyers, you know, for having to take on all these civil cases constantly rather than just having, like, a bylaw officer or, like, a government office kind of decide? And you kind of said that, well, under the current system, isn't it a boon for garbage collectors and bureaucrats? And I guess in some ways I could see that, yes, it probably is a boon for bureaucrats, because without this system in place, there would be no need for bureaucrats. So obviously the system helps them. But a boon for garbage collection, I don't really know about that. Some cities have public garbage collection around here, and they have problems with strikes and things of that nature, which I don't really like. But then there are other cities around here that actually do contract garbage collection out to private companies. The big difference, though, is that I don't have to go around calling the yellow pages to look for a private company. I just pay my taxes to the city, and then the city pools all of our resources together, and hopefully they could find the best solution, like the best company to provide garbage collection, and they could pay that company on our behalf. Like, maybe the system isn't perfect, like maybe they won't find the absolute best one. Like, I'm sure there are probably plenty of examples of, you know, government not doing things in the best interest when they were supposed to, but I'm sure you could probably find just as many as examples of that in the private sector. So I don't really see that being a defense. Like, all I see is, like, if everybody had to contract out their own garbage collection, for example. So one company would drive up my street, grab my garbage, and then drive off. Then some other company would come up, get my neighbor's garbage, and drive off. And then maybe, like, a few days later, some other company would come up and get someone else's garbage and then drive off. And so how many garbage trucks am I going to have driving down my street on a weekly basis from all these different garbage companies? Like, Like, that just seems so inefficient. It would be so much more efficient just to have all of the garbage collection done by one company in one shot. And I don't see how you can do that without some sort of government system. Because if everybody in my block were all to get together and decide, oh, we're all going to get garbage collection from the same company, then we're all still paying a form of tax. It's just rather than paying the tax to the government, we'll just be paying it to the one person on our street who is responsible for paying for garbage collection. Like, it doesn't seem like a win. Like, there's no really winning in it. Like, I may pay less for it, but then the garbage collection company that we decide upon may only pick up once a month, or they may have a limit to how much that they'll pick up. That's other companies are different. And just, like, sure, choice can be nice, but the tyranny of choice can be, like, mind-boggling. Like, when you have 1,000 different choices, how are you supposed to keep track of what's the best one? Like choice is great, but there is a point where too much choice just cripples you and you don't know what to do. Whereas at least with a government thing, like, I can complain to the government. I can write letters to them and say, hey, my taxes are too high. Why are you wasting my money on this and wasting my money on that? I can talk to candidates and try to vote for people who will better manage my money, but I don't want to have to go do research to find a company that will take away my garbage, and then have to go out and do research to find a company that will adequately sweep out, like, keep my roads repaired or my front lawn proper and things like that, because the city services do a lot of street cleaning and street maintenance that maybe we don't always notice, and if we weren't paying for that, we would have to pay it out of our own pocket. And how many different companies do you think that would take? Like, and how many of them would rip people off who would do less for more just because, like, people just get used to paying one company. Like, it's just human nature to just getting used to dealing with one kind of person. Like, I don't want to have to spend a few months every year just to check to make sure that my garbage collection company is doing the best job for me. I would rather that be someone else's responsibility to check garbage collection for everybody in a given area. Like, I just don't see how, like, strength in numbers is true in almost every way. So why, when it comes to economics, why is strength in numbers considered so bad? Like, if everybody in the city bands together and decides to get garbage collection from the same company and then pays that company through, like, money that gets deducted off of, like, people's wages or something like that automatically, just so it's all, like, brainless kind of taken care of, how is that fundamentally different than paying taxes to a government? Like, I guess, the only real difference is that if you don't pay the taxes, well, at least around here, if you don't pay the taxes, you can, get fines and levies against you, where I guess in a private industry, if you didn't pay the money, you would just stop getting the service. But then I would imagine that if you stopped getting your trash picked up, your neighbors would then file lawsuits against you for affecting their property value, and so then it would probably end up costing you more than just paying the taxes and fines that you just refused to pay to begin with. Like, I'm sorry, like, I don't get it. I don't see how having no property tax and being responsible for buying all these separate services individually is better than just paying a one lump fee that covers all of the services in one package. Like I see this in business all the time. Like, I see internet companies that try to bundle internet, phone, cell phones. Like, they're trying to bundle everything all together in one price to make it easier. So taxes is like the ultimate bundle. You get all of these services for this one price. Like, I guess the only downside is that there is no competition. But then if there was competition, I'm not sure that you would get a better result, because all you would do is you would spend so much more time having to research and check out to say, like, oh, well, like, this company will pick up my garbage 3 times a week, but their bag limit is only 1 bag per pickup. This other company will pick it up once a week, but they'll pick up 4 bags all at once, but they charge an extra $20 per pound or per ton or something. And so how do I know which deal is going to be the best deal for me? Like, maybe there are people out there that are that anal and just want to have that much control over their life and everything in it, but I'm sorry, I like to live my life. I like to concentrate on what's important. I like to think about my wife and my family. Like, I don't want to have to spend all my time worrying about what garbage collection company to use, or to make sure, like, oh, did I send in my check for the fire company, or else if I get a fire, will they not come out because I'm not up on my dues? Because your taxes basically pay for, like the fire department and the police department. If you didn't pay taxes for that, they would have to get their money somewhere else, and it would have to be, I guess, on some sort of payment system. And just like with insurance, like if I'm late with my premiums, what does that mean? Like, like there's just, I don't know, like maybe I'm just being totally stupid on all this. Maybe you can educate me here, but I'm just not seeing the benefits to a loss of property taxes. Like, I don't know. Help educate me. That's all I can say.